Hi everyone, it's me, your boy, Uncle Melty, the host of the Metal Meltdown. I recently had the opportunity and privilege to speak to and hang out with one Eric Peterson, founding member, longtime guitarist for legendary Bay Area thrash metal crew Testament, and we talked about their new album, Parabellum, and we talked about a potential Dragonlord comeback, and we talked about the state of 80s thrash metal in 2025, and whether or not Testament would ever consider retiring, and a bunch of other things. It was a really great, interesting conversation. I enjoyed it. I hope you do too as well. Here we go! Eric Peterson! Yeah! Once again, thank you right off the bat for being here. I want to start off the new album, Parabellum. It's been out for roughly a month, and I just kind of want to get your thoughts, your perception on how the how the album has been received. How do you feel about the album 1 month in?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm super close to it and I've heard it so many times from, doing the demos, and I remember when I first came up with the riffs, I was super excited. So I'm imagining that I'm super picky too. So I'm imagining that now that it's done and it's been, mixed by Jens Bergen and, everything's been done, that the feeling is mutual with the fans, I would hope. So yeah, I mean, I obviously I can tell what it sounds like, when it's finished. But yeah, the feeling I got when I first put it together was like I felt really strong about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird answer, but that's
No,
I've
no,
heard
I
it
feel
so
what you mean.
you know what I mean? I've heard it so many times, like I don't know anymore. I'm just to me it's normal, but I know that feeling when I wrote it, I was super excited. I mean, especially when I came up with like High Noon and Infanticide. I remember me and Chris were just like, fuck, this is killer.
It's such a great choice for a lead single too, especially with like those more extreme kind of blasts and like the lyrics about AI, which are I think are pretty timely right about now.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
the whole thing made sense, and just Chuck's voice sounds really good on it. Of course, he does some of his death grunts. Um, we were gonna pick different ones, but I thought, we were all thinking this one will, it's already got crazy blast beats. We can't do the death and that. People will be like, "What the hell?"
mhm.
Not
We get.
everybody, but yeah.
Mhm. We gave the album 4 to 5 here at the Metal Meltdown. I think it's a great record. I've heard a lot of other positive reviews and comments, and a lot of people I talk to, there's this kind of consensus that out of all the like older thrash bands left over from like the 80s and early 90s, Testament is one of the most consistent, especially in the past 20 years from Formation of Damnation and onwards. What do you think is the secret to the consistency of your music after all this time?
Um, just being in love with the style of music and yeah, just basically really being into what we're doing and maybe not getting, and I mean this in a positive way, but maybe not getting it as much recognition as to being like, 100% praised. I think if you make it and you just sell hollow records and well, people don't sell records anymore, but um yeah, I mean there's always that fight to, to like do better. And I think it also helps having, new fresh blood in the band, like getting Gene in the band and having Paul like on formation. Um, New drummers are always a good thing. I mean, they also are great if it, if it lasts and so, as long as the will to, to co-write and to be a part of it all, not be like, oh, okay, whatever. So I know a lot of bands with drummers that have been around, especially a band like us that's been around for a long time. It's kind of like the same old, same old.
Hmm.
I think maybe that's the case. I mean, I've had that feeling with the original lineup, and it was kind of hard to expand, but especially more than ever, especially with Chris, it just I feel like I mean we're only on our first record together, but the feeling was just like, man, I can't. I'm super excited to that I can actually throw some of the stuff that I'm into, the more on the black metal side, but also being true to what we've done in the past, like Meant to Be, Nature of the Beast, more hard rock kind of stuff, and then putting it all together is exciting.
Did Chris bring a lot of like new ideas to the table, like a fresh new kind of perspective then? Because if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the younger members that you guys have had more or less since your formation.
Well, yeah, we're like late 50s, early 60s, and he's 27. So yeah, he's a lot younger than us. But um, I think we're all very young at heart, and we Chris, we get on great. It's a weird thing about being in a band. I think when you start a band, whatever age you start at, you kind of stay that age when you're in the band. You obviously you grow up and you buy houses and you have kids and get married, but when you're in a band, you kind of stay in that mentality a little bit, if that makes any sense. At least that's what I've acknowledged. I mean, we still, when we're all together, we still act, like we did when we were 20, other than, maybe a little bit more respectful towards each other, but there's that kind of nostalgic attitude that we have. Um, but regarding Chris bringing stuff to the band, I mean, what he brought is his acknowledgement for playing drums and, going to Berkeley and just being able to play a lot of different styles, but also being part of that age group where he's very recognized with, more extreme metal.
Hmm.
Like myself, I mean, I'm really into, people know it because I've done Dragonlord and stuff, but into the more extreme blast beats and crazy kind of music, but also being melodic. I think black metal is more melodic than a lot of the other genres out there. But yeah, so him, being understanding that stuff, it was easier for me to like, I've tried it before with other drummers and they're just kind of like, well, let me think about that for a little bit and maybe substitute that and do more fast double bass or whatnot. But me and Chris are just off at the races. Like I'm like, we even went like, okay, wait, calm down. We can't turn Testament into a black metal band. And a lot.
I have to be
So,
honest though, that sounds pretty interesting.
well, I mean, but we, I think we did it in a good way. Maybe we can learn how to adapt a little bit more, but I think it's on the safe zone to where Testament fans will like it. Maybe some of them, the more people that like the older stuff are probably going like, oh, what were they doing? But I think we balanced it out pretty well
Hmm.
because it does come out swinging. But then you keep going in it, before track 4, you're in Meant to Be and you're in, late 80s ballad mode,
I think
something like
that's
that.
something I love about Parabellum though, like the variety, the diversity, flexibility of the record, like because you can have like these grindcore kind of bursts and death metal riffs and like these groovy churning guitars and a full-blown power ballad and probably one of the better ones I've heard on a metal album as of late,
Oh,
too.
thanks.
Hmm. And something I also noticed when it comes to older thrash bands, I feel like the genre is in a bit of a weird spot because Megadeth is supposedly retiring next year. We'll see if that actually pans out. Slayer disbanded in 2019. They only do a few shows every year. And then at the same time, Coroner, Dark Angel, Morbid Saint have kind of reemerged with new music recently. So, how do you feel about the state of the genre and a lot of these older guys and your peers? And do you ever see Testament retiring, or is this just something where it's like, nah, as long as we can play, we're gonna keep it going?
Oh, we're gonna take it to the end. So I mean, that's what Chuck says. I could keep going forever. I mean, that's
Hmm.
what I think, but I mean, who knows? I mean, I still feel young and I don't feel like I'm 60. So
That's
it's,
good.
that's weird. Well, it's weird too, because I remember, I mean, if I could go back and see myself now and just think how I'm thinking and hear what I'm doing, I would be like, whoa.
Hmm.
Because I remember when my grandfather was 60, he was bald and he had this little pencil holder and he was wearing polyester pants up to here. And I just don't see that. And I think, people now that are older don't, I think maybe because of our lifestyle and I think metal keeps you young too. So, but Wait, what was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, just like how do you feel about like other metal bands, like
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of other thrash metal bands retiring and some coming out of retirement? Like, do you think thrash metal is in kind of a weird spot because of all of that?
Um, I mean, I think it's still strong. I mean, Metallica, look at Metallica, they're still kicking ass, and their last record was pretty cool. There's other bands. Exodus is on fire. They got their one of their old singers back. I haven't heard any of it yet, but I know Gary's like me is on fire. Um, I mean, Overkill's still around. I'm excited to hear the new Corner. I don't know, is that out yet?
Yeah, it came out about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, I'm excited to hear that.
It's really good too. I
Yeah,
feel like I kind of feel like they kind of been keeping their ear to the ground a little bit, paying attention to some stuff that's been happening in the past couple decades, but it still
yeah,
feels like, it picks up right where those last couple of albums left off.
yeah. My keyboard player for Dragonlord really wanted to when we were recording. He wanted to do a cover of "The Last Entertainment" by them,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I listened to it and I'm like, that'd be cool, but we never got around to doing it. But yeah, I really like Corner, man. I'd like to check that record. I'm gonna check it out after we get off the phone here. But yeah, I mean, we're all at that age now where, it's like, am I still into this? Do I still feel like it? Um, I mean, Anthrax is still out there kicking. So, I think a lot of bands, it's funny, it's a lot of bands that all of us listen to, like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, when we were 18, 17, 19, whatever, and they were, in their late 20s or, whatever age they were, but they're all probably like 10, 15 years older than us, and they're still out there. So there is hope. I mean, I remember being in my late 20s and just, even 30s and seeing, okay, Iron Maiden's still going and they're still going now,
Hmm.
you know? So, yeah, I mean, we still got some time, I think.
Rob Halford's like 76 years old too, and he can still sing like that. It's kind of
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me because I
Yeah.
think
I mean, it
about
gets
like,
harder when you get old. You just got to take care of yourself, and just eat right and work out. And, um, yeah, I think if you do that and just maintain yourself and just don't go too crazy.
mhm.
I know we all still drink still, but it's a little bit harder to recuperate.
Yeah, yeah, I imagine it's more like maybe a beer as opposed to a six pack and a 3 or 4 bottles of something else, like it maybe was
Yeah.
back in the day.
I notice like when we have one of those nights, I'm just like, walking around and I'm all, Chris, how do you feel? He goes, I feel killer, man. And I'm just like,
It's like I'm drinking right now. You want something?
yeah, yeah, you got to do a hair of the dog now and then. But, no, other than that, it's just, I sadly, there is going to be a time where thrash metal bands like from my genre it's going to be gone. And then there's going to be a new wave of stuff. But, I'm still seeing, the new wave of British heavy metal bands still out there. And those are the bands that we listen to. So, I think there's still some time. But, as far as the other bands, more power to them coming back and trying to give it a go.
Hmm. Many believe that Testament should be in the big four of thrash metal, or that the big four itself should be expanded. How do you feel about the idea, and do you ever get tired of hearing about that idea?
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny. I mean, the big four is the big four. Those bands were in the time, they were the first, you know, they were first. There was the, Anthrax from New York, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer. Then there was like that another new wave, of bands that came around. Exodus, Testament, uh, Overkill. I mean, well, Overkill's been around for a long time, actually. I think they're around before Metallica, if I'm not right. I mean, Death Angel was around like 4 years before Legacy, or 3 years. I remember going to see them before I was even in a band, and they're all like 11 years old on
Hmm.
stage.
I mean, even
Just going,
Exodus was like early 80s, but they never
yeah,
got around to releasing the debut till like 85. And by that point, Metallica and Slayer both have 3 albums out each.
yeah. So I mean, there's all those factors, but I mean, at the same time, I'm honored, but I don't like when they go, oh, Anthrax should be out and Testament should be in, or vice versa, whatever. I just think that is kind of bitter, and I would imagine it probably makes Anthrax maybe not despise us, but it's just kind of weird how people do that. But that's how people are, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, maybe there's a new one, the new kids on the block or something. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess like if there was like a new big four, I guess like for more modern thrash metal, I think like Municipal Waste at the top, Evil, Toxic Holocaust. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, to me, it's just kind of like
Well, there could be
like.
the other four. There could
Hmm.
be Over Testament, Exodus, Overkill, Creator. I don't know.
Hmm. I think a lot of people forget too that like that whole term, the Big Four, it's not like all the metal guys of the '80s got together and it was just like a marketing thing. Like
It
it's
was a
just kind of
marketing
like.
thing, and also those you got to remember those bands, all of them were like gold and platinum selling records.
Hmm.
We don't Testament's never had a platinum record. I mean, we've got up in the millions, but like the bands before that, I think that's a big part of it too. So, I mean, I feel like we're our music is as good as, our peers, but it's just a term.
Hmm. Yeah, it's never something I've put a lot of stock into. I always find it funny when I hear some people talk like again that whole thing where it's like take Anthrax out, put Testament or whoever in, and it's just kind of like that doesn't change the fact that Anthrax sold more records. Like that's the whole
Yeah.
reason this whole thing kind
Dude,
of exists
Anthrax
as it
took us
is.
out. They took us out on tour when they did Among the Living, and total respect to them. They were badass. You
Hmm.
know, they definitely had their trip back then for sure. And now
Before,
they're still kicking ass now. So
oh yeah, and I think they're still supposed to have a new album next year. I know they've been talking about it for a
yeah,
while now.
yeah. One of the members is in a really big band.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. Priorities are a little different. That's something
Yeah.
interesting to see too. Like everyone's got like multiple things to kind of keep them busy. Like Dave Lombardo rejoined you guys for a little bit, but he's still the drummer for the Misfits, if I'm not mistaken, and he does
hmm
Mr. Bungle and he does Dead Cross, and I know that that was why he didn't really stick around with y'all. But was there anything he contributed to the writing process of this album at all, or was it all Chris?
No, not absolutely not. It was just touring. It was he heard that we had that, we parted ways with Dave. I'm sorry, with Gene. And actually Chris was on the list. He was the one for in my mind. I was getting ready to call him, but then Chuck called me and said that, hey, Dave called me and said he's available and he's not doing anything right now. And I was like, I thought he was in Suicidal and Bungle and Misfits and all this stuff. But then when I talked to him, he said his schedule's totally free. So we kind of went with it. And then we started as the tours were going on, we were talking about writing, and all the fans were like, oh man, Gathering Part Two, and excited. And I think it kind of, I don't know if it scared him, but he was probably going in the back of his head, I got this coming up. I got this coming up. I got all these projects. Maybe he's just like, yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. I mean, right when he started saying that, I'm like, this ain't gonna, we just had fun, traveling the world, and picking up where you left off, and that's gonna be it. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what happened. But we had a great time with Dave, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with him. But I'm glad it worked out the way it worked out. And Chris ended up being a substitute for Dave on a couple of tours where Dave couldn't finish the tour, couldn't start the tour. And I was like, oh, here we go. And but when Chris came in, it just to me, I was just like, this was my first pick, and it's obvious this guy's badass, and knew more songs than we did of our own material.
Hmm.
And when he came out to rehearse with me, I actually showed him some of my riffs, and we jammed, and it just was like just spot on.
In an interview with Knotfest, Chuck Billy said that Testament was already aiming to record another album next year. How true is this, and what progress has been done, if any? I think I know the answer from that little laugh.
I mean, that's, wishful thinking. I think he's going off what, I'm telling him that me and Chris are already writing the new record. So, uh, while we were mixing, me and Chris were jamming on some stuff, and we got like, three, four ideas already, just ideas, where you at least listen to it and go, get through something and go, wow, that's cool. Um, we had a couple more writing sessions scheduled, but they got put off. Chris had some family stuff to deal with. Um, but no, we're picking it up, and I would say it's not going to. I'll put it this way: it's not going to take another 2, 3 years for a record to come out.
Oh wow, all right.
So
Sounds
yeah,
good.
I would say it's safe that we're aiming for 2026 later to at least start recording.
Okay.
So
I,
that's right around the corner. I mean, we just released this record. We did one tour so far. We did Europe, and that went really well. We are going to be touring in the States. I can't really say when, but obviously 2026. And we're scheduled in Europe for some festivals. We got South American and Asia to do. And in between all that, I'll be writing.
doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of time for recording though. That's a lot of touring.
So here's the thing. So that happened. That's what happened on the last record. I mean, we were touring in between recording and mixing. It was just
Okay.
crazy. I was just like, "What do you mean we have a tour coming up?" I thought we were writing. But with Chris, for me and Chris, I think I found a partner that I can get stuff done with really quick. And as far as quick, I don't mean like just throw it together. I mean the quality's got to be there, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, I'm the first one to go, no, no, I don't like that. No. And everybody's like, that's good enough. It's like, no, it's not.
It's like no, it's got to be at this level.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
and
what's the point?
you gotta put it on and feel proud and not, I always get that feeling too if I play something for someone and if I feel weird if I like it by myself, that's cool. But when I play it for someone, I'll get the vibe of like they don't like this.
Hmm.
So, but all the other stuff, I remember when me and Chris would go out to Chuck's before rehearsal, we'd go out on Chuck's boat and we'd go, hey, check this demo out and stuff. And I remember just going, fuck, this sounds killer. But then I look at Chuck like, uh-oh, here. He's like, fuck, write more stuff like that. And I'm like, really? All right.
I got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go. Thank you again for being here. It's
No
a
worries.
real pleasure. You mentioned Dragonlord earlier, and I'd like to
Mhm.
know what are the chances of a new Dragonlord album in the near future? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's been 6, 7 years, something like
God,
that.
it's so weird, man. I feel like I just put that record out. And before that, it was we did Black Wings of Destiny in 2005. And then when I finally got around to getting the new one, it came out in 18. So, I mean, that was 12 years. That's like a decade. And I just feel like I know I was telling myself, I know it's been some time, but then when I actually seen how long it was, it's just weird. Time's just like going by. But the answer to your question is yes. Um, I've been working on some stuff and talking with Lyle, the keyboard player. And yeah, Chris would like to contribute that too. I remember we jammed on Dragonlord one night. We're pretty buzzed. And the next day he was like, dude, that new song we wrote last night was, I'm all, that's a Dragonlord song. And he's like, fuck. But yeah, Wolf
Gee,
Hunt's pretty cool. That's off our first record. But yeah, we're working on some stuff, man. It's going to happen. I don't know
sounds.
when, but the Testament's coming first, but definitely librarying riffs.
It definitely sounds like 2026 is already pretty solidly booked. So
Yeah. Yeah. And there's time to jam. I mean, you can come up, the universe can hand you a song in a night, you can jam for 3 hours and then you just come back the next day and you find that 1 minute of like, what's that? You know, and then
hmm.
you build off that. That's kind of how we did the last one. I have a lot of riffs, but we would just jam on it. I didn't really know what we were doing. We're just jamming, jamming, jamming. You go back and listen to it and go. I even found parts that were like 6 seconds long. Like what's that?
Just to take that one little bit and be like, we got to do something with
Well,
that.
because
Like
there's
that's
something
awesome.
special there. There's a certain sound there.
Hmm. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. It's like that little 6 second riff right before a killer breakdown or guitar solo, and that's what gets you hyped up for that big,
Yeah.
epic, awesome moment, you know?
Because then once you clip it and you loop it, you can like go, I could totally picture what would go before that or what would come after that, you know?
Like I'll add strings, I'll add piano, I'll add more drums, more guitar.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, Eric. Is there anything you want to
Yeah.
say to the Metal Meltdown audience before we sign off?
Well, if you haven't heard our new record yet, need to check it out. Um, it's full of surprises and it's super heavy. It comes out swinging, but it's got a lot of I would say stuff from our whole catalog style wise. But yeah, we're pretty proud of it and check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Eric.
Right on,
Pleasure to
man.
speak with you. Hopefully, I'll see you in
Okay.
Toronto in the near future.
All right. We'll see ya.
Wow, there you have it. Thank you once again, Eric, for being here, joining me here on the Metal Meltdown, talking to me, hanging out with me. Thank you to the PR guys and Testaments management. Wow, there you have it, though. And there you have it, folks. Wow! I learned so much. I hope you did as well. Thank you to Eric for being here. Thank you to the PR guys and Testaments management for, reaching out to me. Such a cool opportunity. Be sure to check out more interviews. We've had members of Morbid Angel, In Flames, Guar, Voivod, Cannibal Corpse, and more here on this channel in the past. I want to get back into doing interviews way more frequently too. And also doing funkier, crazier things with my interview guests. Also, I think that would be really neat. Boom, subscribe, other videos, join us on Discord, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.